Thank you all for coming here on an exciting Wednesday night, 6 o'clock dinner time. I'll try to keep this short. Normally in past years, I have done this meeting in person in the cafeteria at the middle school, but that wasn't available, and it just felt like this was easier for families anyway than trying to like drag everybody over to the high school. And with COVID and everything, this just seemed like a better option. Welcome. I see a lot of familiar faces in here, and this is very exciting because we didn't get to have a middle school season last year. So we haven't been in the pool as a team. Oh, here comes Livy. Since February of 2020. So this is really exciting. I'm anticipating a pretty good group of size group of swimmers in grades 6 through 8. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura LeDuc. I am a co-founder of Trojan Aquatics, and I'm gonna quickly go through, I'm also the head coach, and I also have a daughter who's an 8th grader who's on the team, and she doesn't have the same last name as me. Her name is Olin. And my son has been through this program. I'm going to have our diving coach, Claire Schertzing. She's at practice right now with Spartan Diving Club. She's one of the assistant coaches, and she's going to be joining us at 6:15. So you'll get to meet her really quickly for those of you who are here for diving. And then I also have special guest Vanessa Kiesler, who is president of LAPO, and I'll give her a proper introduction in a few minutes. So you can get a little bit of sort of what the aquatics program looks like from A to Z, using swimming, diving, and water polo all the way up through 12th grade, because it's a very interconnected group. So I have some slides, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully this will work for everybody. I promise I won't just read off of them. My other job is I'm an associate dean at Cooley Law School, and I'm pretty much on all the time, and people go crazy if you just read off your slides. So I'm definitely not going to do that. But here we go. Someone just let me know you can see this when it's happening. Can you see it? I need a verbal because I can't see you.
Yes, we can see.
Yay!
Yeah, it's good.
So let's see, next slide. Hello, there we go. So we're going to go through all of these topics today. Not all of them will take as long. And if you have questions along the way, just stop me, because I'm sharing my screen. It's a little harder to raise hands. So let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger. Here we go. That way I can at least see anybody who wants, but just go ahead and say, hey, Laura, or something like that, and we'll get it figured out. Oh, admit to waiting room. Let's see who's in the waiting room now. Admit all. Oops, no, not message. Okay, it looks like that's working. I will move this over here so that I can see it over on this side. I have 2 screens going here, so that helps a little bit. So I alluded to this a minute ago. Trojan Aquatics, we're sort of the swimming arm of what happens throughout the district in East Lansing with aquatics programs. We have swimming, diving, and water polo. And on the club side, we run both swimming and water polo. Our water polo arm is called Raptor. And we're basically, Raptor is a DBA for those of you who want to know what our business form is, but we are a 501c3. We oversee the swimming and polo portions all throughout the year. And then we run the middle school team for the school district. So it gets a little confusing sometimes because we have 2 different websites. We have the Trojan Aquatics Club website, and then we have Trojan Middle, which is just the middle school team. And it just makes it easier for us to keep them separate. And all of the things that you'll be doing during this season are going to be on the Trojan Middle website. And if you just Google it, you'll find it. I'll share it in a little bit. This year, middle school season will run November 17th through the end of January. January 29th is the school state meet. And then we'll go back to doing club after that. So, and then middle school water polo just ended. We had, for the first time, a competitive season was September and October. It used to be in the spring. But now both of the high school programs, the boys and the girls high school program in the spring, so middle school moved over to fall. And we do have year-round options, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on what sort of in season. Our younger kids swim at the Hannah Center. We start down at first grade and we go all the way up through 12th grade. Our program that we're talking about today, which is the middle school team, we're part of the Capital Area Activities Conference. And while they don't officially sponsor swimming as a CAAC sport, the swim coaches decided to make our own league, and we all the CAA schools are in it. Both blue and red schools from the high school CAAC compete in ours, and we call it CAACs, but I guess technically, officially, it's not. So we call it the League Meet. And it has swimming and diving. The way we run it in East Lansing is the only requirement for the swim team is that you have to be able to swim 25 yards without stopping. That's one length of a 25-yard pool. On the very first day, we'll do evaluations of all the swimmers that we've never coached before in our program and make sure that they're ready to do this. But it doesn't have to be pretty. I mean, even if they're just like floating and kicking on their back and they make it across without stopping, we're totally fine with that. What Trojan Aquatics was built for was there was a void, and I'll go into this in a little bit more detail. There was no East Lansing club team that was a pipeline to the high school teams. And so that's how Trojan Aquatics, the club, got started, is so that we could start developing swimmers before they got to the 9th grade so that our high school teams would increase participation and start to have a little bit more success because they were kind of finishing either last or second to last in the high school conference. And when I moved back into town, I didn't like that. So we have a lot of alumni families, families that had parents that swam for East Lansing or at least swam in this area of mid-Michigan in the 80s and 90s. And now their kids are swimming. So it's been a lot of fun for me to come back and do that. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. My child is locked out of the house. I will be right back. Sorry. My son left. He's 18 and he locked the front door. So this is where Vanessa is going to get to shine here. She's going to talk about how Trojan Aquatics and the middle school team fits in sort of with the grander scheme. So take it away, Vanessa.
Thanks, Laura. And good evening, everybody. And thanks to Laura for having me join tonight to talk a little bit about ALAPO. Like she said, my name is Vanessa Kiesler. I'm currently the president of ALAPO, which means I showed up for the one meeting where the president was like leaving and I ended up with this job. But I do love aquatics in East Lansing. My daughter Rose is a junior. She swam with Trojan Aquatics from when she was young. She would be swimming this year, except she's in Germany, but she has been part of the Trojan Aquatics family. And taken advantage of Raptor and some of what I'm going to talk about at the high school as well. So I'm really excited that you're all here. For some of you who this is old hat, you know this. For those of you who are newer, there are various club teams in the area. There's MMA, the Y runs some programs, there's other ones. But Trojan Aquatics is the feeder program. Like Laura said, she created it, co-created it. I guess it's nice how she talks about co-creation, even though she's still the one here running it. But she created it to be the specific feeder program for the high school. So you can swim with the other club teams on the off season, or you can swim with Trojan Aquatics. And if any of you are here and you're like, I swim with Trojan Aquatics, but I'm not part of East Lansing, although you probably wouldn't be because this is the middle school thing, that's okay too. But I know when Rose got into swim and I got into swim parenting, I was very confused about the clubs and who does what and whatever. And I also just really want to reaffirm Trojan Aquatics and actually the whole East Lansing Aquatics organization. We're very committed to inclusion, to everybody swimming, everybody diving, everybody playing water polo who wants to. We're committed to scholarships and making it accessible, keeping fees as low as possible. So please, I'm really glad you're here, but also spread the word. And Laura really does create a program where kids can go from being somebody who can barely swim to being competitive, and everybody enjoys it at every level. So in terms of Alapo, like this slide says, we are two things. We are the parent booster organization for the high school. So we support boys and girls swim and dive. And then we are technically the fiscal agent and the 503c, whatever, the runner. I guess there's probably better words for this. We actually run the high school water polo program, which has been known as Hotel, which is an old artifact of it. It's not interesting why. And we would like to change it. And we're also in the process of talking with Nikki Norris about could we become a high school sport? Because currently we're a club sport for high school, for water polo at the high school, which has some benefits. More flexibility for us to do things the way we want is the big one, but it has some downsides. You know, it's not considered a varsity sport because it's a club. So Alapo supports all things aquatics at the high school level. One of the big things we're focusing on this year that we have for a while, but really that's why Laura invited me, we really want to make plain the connections between what you do in elementary school, what you can do in middle school, how Trojan Aquatics and the Raptor polo programs do feed into high school swim and dive and high school polo, and really create that continuum. And that's what makes schools like a generational swim team, when they have that feeder program where kids can be involved and be in the water all the way through, but also still having those on ramps. If you are in 10th grade and you decide you want to swim, you know, you're always welcome in the East Lansing waters. So for now, there's probably not much for you to do or know about Alapo, but I will certainly, those of you who are 8th grade parents, I'll be coming to talk with you a little bit more when you get closer to high school. And we also, Laura and the high school coaches and me and the Alapo board, we do want to continue to work together even more ways across Trojan Aquatics and the high school programs, maybe around some fundraising or some specific things to just strengthen aquatics in East Lansing, because it is really a big family. It's a big, we get stronger together. And like Laura said, you know, just as a bit of positivity and why you should be so excited to be part of Trojan Aquatics now and the middle school swim. The girls just went to their district finals and they finished 4th overall. The team finished 4th overall, which is the highest finish in a long time. And they were within striking distance of a little bit higher than that. So I'm going to, of course, assume it's because my daughter wasn't there to score for the team. So, you know, when she comes back next year, that'll be the deal maker, I'm sure. So, no, but they really put up a great finish. They had kids going to states. So it's been so exciting to see the program grow. And I hope you all have a wonderful season.
Thanks, Vanessa. Does anyone have any questions for her? Okay. Well, if anybody needs to get in touch with Vanessa, you can certainly send me an email and I can forward that on to her and you can have that conversation. How many of you have kids that are in band or orchestra and have heard of LBOPA? Like, just give me a little shout. This is sort of our LBOPA, but we call it Alapo. So if you hear that, now you know what Alapo means. It's sort of the swim version of LBOPA. Thanks, Vanessa. I see that Claire, our diving coach, has hopped on. Claire, are you able to show your face? I don't know if she can hear me.
Hopefully it's on now. Can you see me?
I have to change my gallery view. Anyway, I wanted to, Claire's in the middle of practice, so she was just going to take like 5 minutes to come and say hello and introduce herself and just maybe give a quick overview of how you see the diving season going, and maybe a little bit of your background with you as a diver and being an alum from East Lansing and your college career. Just a quick overview of you and what you think is going to happen and your plans for the divers this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So hello, everybody. I apologize for the background noise. I am about 4 feet away from a pool right now with practice going on. So if you can't hear me for any reason, give me a shout. I am Claire Schertzing. Many of you probably recognize that last name, either from aquatics or other things in East Lansing. I'm a 2013 graduate of the East Lansing Swim and Dive program and East Lansing High School. I dove for Kalamazoo College for 4 years, and I'm currently a PhD student at MSU. So been around for a long time, deep roots in the community, and I'm super excited to see your kids and hopefully get them as excited about diving as I was. So the middle school season is very short. Obviously, diving can be kind of a tough thing for some people to pick up. So we're going to start with the basics. It's not something that a lot of people have experience with coming in. Dancers and gymnasts tend to pick it up a little bit quicker, but we're going to start with jumping off the board front and back safely. Make sure that, I know my parents were always scared about about being close to the board. It was hard for them to watch. So I promise we'll start with the safety piece for any of your kids that are interested. And then from there, we'll just work on some basic skills. We've got a couple different diving meets. Our kickoff meet is, I think, 2 or 3 weeks for diving specifically after the start
It's
of
on
the
the
season.
10th of December.
Yeah. So we'll have a couple weeks to practice. It'll be front dives, back dives, stuff like that. And really, I'm just going to, whether or not your diver ever is comfortable competing, whether or not they ever get to 3 dives or 6 dives for a meet format, I just want to instill confidence in them on the board and make sure that they have a great time. So really anybody, any skill level is welcome. If they're interested in doing both swimming and diving, they're more than welcome to come spend 30 minutes with me if that's all they want to do. It's whatever they'd like. So I hope that I'll see a number of them on the board, and I'm really excited to get started.
Any potential diver parents have any questions for Claire while we have her captive? Just go ahead and speak up if you do.
Hey, Claire, this is Max's parents. We're just wondering, do we need to let you know formally or just have our athlete approach you when practice starts?
They're more than welcome to just come find me on the first day of practice.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
So Bree, in the registration process, if you haven't done it yet, there will be 3 choices: swim only, dive only, and a swim dive combo, because the prices are different based on the number of days a week for practice. Practices for diving will be 2 days a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. Claire is also the head high school coach for Lansing, so she'll be coming from Lansing to our pool those 2 days. We may add an occasional Friday practice or even a Saturday morning to practice, depending on what's going on that week. And there's also some flexibility over the holidays. Claire is very experienced coach. She's been coaching with Spartan Diving at least 4 years that I'm aware of. Maybe even longer. Claire, how long?
It's been, this is year 4. I started when I came back to start my master's.
Okay. She's very good because she works with the Learn to Dive group in Spartan Diving, who have taken divers all the way to club nationals. So she's working with Mike Wagner, who is an exceptional coach in the area, and she's learned diving coaching from the best. So we're really excited to have her this year. Does anyone else have any questions for Claire? Okay, go back to practice, Claire. Thanks.
Thanks, bye.
So I'm back on my slides. I just wanted to give you an overview of sort of the history of East Lansing swimming and diving. You can kind of see how they went from being state champions in the 70s and 80s, early 80s especially. And we've had swimmers make Division I, go swim in Division I. We've had swimmers go to Olympic trials back in those days. And then there were a lot of things that happened. That was just the girls, and here's the boys. A lot of things happen when there are multiple clubs in town and they're parent-run clubs. And so to make a long story short, clubs came and went, and eventually the clubs that emerged did not use East Lansing's aquatic facilities for their club program. And that's sort of when things trickled off, and that was where we came in, is to rebuild that. Here's sort of, we're building this new era, and we're just starting to see, when I see how this come to fruition. When I first started, I made a 10-year and a 20-year plan, because that's how long we're talking about. If we start in first grade, it's going to take 6-year-olds 14 years until they're getting to be the point where they can be seniors in high school, 12, 14 years. So we're just starting to see fruition. As Vanessa said, the girls finished above 6th place for the first time in decades. Fourth is the highest. The second, third, and 4th place teams were neck and neck all the way up until really the last event. So that was really exciting. And we're looking forward to next year on that. But here's some sort of accolades. The boys middle school team has won our league meet 3 times. One time we were a co-champion. The girls have not won yet, but they've placed as high as 2nd. And we're just going to keep working to improve and try to stay in that top 3 is always our goal. Be a top 3 in the conference in high school and top 3 in the conference in middle school. COVID, I think, has really set us back a little. Not being in a pool and not having a place for our kids to swim for a year and a half. Really, we're kind of starting over. And luckily, middle school is a time of tremendous physical change in 11 to 14-year-olds. So I think just by that alone, we're going to see some fast swimming because the boys and the girls have grown so much. They haven't been in the pool since the 8th graders haven't been in since 6th grade. Our 7th graders were in 5th grade and our 6th graders were in 4th grade. So this is a real big change in terms of body mass and strength and maturity in their ability to train intelligently. Just a quick slide with all of our coaching staff. You'll notice that we have 3 plus Claire of our coaches are Trojan Aquatics alumni, and that is intentional. During the holiday season, we will have more of our alumni come back. The way the other students, the other coaches on this list are either Michigan State varsity swimmers or club water polo players. And as you've probably heard, the MSU has cut its women's and men's swimming and diving programs. So we were able to hire quite a few of them because they find themselves with a lot of extra time. So they're a real interesting bunch of people to talk to, and they've really done a great job. They have so much enthusiasm and love for the sport. I'm really excited about our coaching staff. Most of them started in September. We have a new coach starting. Her name's Hannah. She's going to be working with probably the 6th grade group. She's also a water polo player. And 3 of them are actually roommates. And then 2, there's sort of 3 houses that are all sort of living together. So it's been really great for me to be able to help out these collegiate athletes and to give them a little bit of money along the way. I've already sort of talked about this, so I'm going to skip it. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the elephant in the pool, as we say, instead of the elephant in the room. COVID. I'm sure you'll have questions about it, and you can always email me with questions. Starting back in July, we have been following the East Lansing Public Schools COVID protocol, and we have it written and posted on our website. And so what we try to do right now, what we've been doing this fall is there's sort of a break with the 12-year-olds. Some 12-year-olds are in 7th grade, some are in 6th grade, and we try to figure out, okay, where's the vaccination line? But now that the 5 to 11-year-olds have been approved for vaccines, I think we're going to be able to open things up a little bit and have a little bit more flexibility with the number of swimmers we have at each practice. I asked, this can change at any time. And this is sort of our nightmare, is if there's another huge spike and school goes back to online at any time, which everybody hopes does not happen, we may have to pause. And I hope that doesn't happen. I'm not anticipating it happening, but I just need to emphasize to everyone to please be flexible and have patience, because sometimes this stuff is not going to be within our control. We're constantly working with the athletic director at East Lansing High School, and she's very supportive of our program. She worked really hard to get us in this summer when and same with Tara Chambers, so she's still on here too. She's one of our school board members. She's super supportive of getting us back in the pool. I don't know if she pulled any strings behind the scenes, but we're really supportive of the district getting us back in the pool in July. And we're hoping that with this middle school season, that we'll have two practice groups that are fairly even in numbers, so that we can make sure that we've got social distancing as much as possible. Long story short, everyone knows who's in East Lansing schools that masks are required in any building in East Lansing Public Schools, and that is the case in the pool. The only time that people are not allowed, that can't wear masks, is when the swimmers are in the water. So the coaches are wearing masks. Everybody on deck is wearing masks. Parents in the balcony are wearing masks. If you're timing during a swim meet, opponents, unless you're in the water, you have to have a mask on in the building. So we continue that. We do that for all of our practices. We do that we'll be doing that for meets. For those of you who were in meets 2 years ago, the kickoff meet is going to be split into 3 locations instead of 2. And we haven't 100% decided if we're going to split the conference meet, the league meet, into 2 locations. Right now, it's just set at 1. But we're going to keep an eye on what's going on with COVID and the numbers of kids on all the teams collectively. And make sure that there's not too many bodies on deck, because we do like to try to put them in chairs where they're 6 feet apart when they come into the pool area. What we've been doing, for those of you who are new, we have 2 sides of the pool deck, and the early practice, they sort of have chairs assigned on one side of the pool. And while they're swimming and the later group is coming in, their chairs are set up on the other side of the pool. So they're not really mixing, so that they can enter and exit the pool and not have a ton of kids in one small area of the pool. So we've been working really hard to try to do that social distancing. And as soon as they get out of the pool and they have their face just a little bit dry, they put their masks on and then they go get dry. One of the interesting things is that we're trying not to use the locker rooms as much as possible, because that's where a lot of the social interaction happens. So all fall, we have had the kids arrive on the pool deck in their suits, and then leave and go home and be picked up in their suits. And they wear, sweats or pajama bottoms or whatever, coats over the top. And the only thing that we use the locker rooms for right now is if someone needs to use the toilet. And that will probably continue because, knock on wood, we have not had any known transmissions of COVID that have happened in the pool. We've had kids that have told us they tested positive, but we have not had any further outbreaks from that so far. And I'm very, very grateful to everybody for really following our masking and social distancing, because it's not easy. It's really, really hard. And I'm always the mean one about it and reminding people, hey, you're supposed to be social distancing. Hey, put your mask on. And it's also very challenging for coaches because as you know, middle schoolers like to chat with each other, and it's very, very hard. The pool area is very, very loud. And so speaking through a mask and trying to be heard over 2 or 3 lanes of student athletes is a challenge. But so sometimes you'll see us like, be quiet, and then pull our mask back up real quick, but we're always socially distant when we do that. Does anybody have any questions so far about social distancing or COVID protocol? Oh, one thing I left out is I do ask so that for me, if I have to do contact tracing, that if you're vaccinated, we have a vaccination card upload so that I can look at it really, really quickly. And I do ask whether the student athlete is vaccinated or not on the registration. We do not require vaccinations, but I just want to know so that when I'm having to triage so-and-so tested positive, okay, were the people in that lane vaccinated, not vaccinated? And so I can try to figure out what part of the COVID protocol through East Lansing schools I have to follow. We're also going to be doing an online health check that everybody has, that everybody will have access to. I'm actually changing it. I have been using like a Google form, but now I have subscribed to MI Symptoms, which is a state of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services free service. And it will remind you on your phone that, oh, you haven't done your health check yet. So I'm really excited about that. That just started today. I'll send out more information about that once everybody's registered, and probably maybe a day or two before the first practice. You'll get an email that says, hey, can you please fill out this form? It's an online form, and sign up so that we can make sure that everybody goes through and does that daily. And it's helpful to have a reminder administratively for me to remind 60 kids, oh, can you please do your online health symptom checker? This is going to be much easier for me. It's going to take the burden off of me. I think that's it. Any questions? I'll move on.
I have a quick question about that, if I could. Is that screener going to go to kids or parents?
It's going to go to the email is going to go to the parents. Whatever
okay.
email you put in the registration, that's the email it will go to.
Okay. I'm fairly terrible about that right now, so I'll work on it.
Okay. We've already talked about some of this, so I'm going to skip. But since the kids were so socially isolated, and I know this because I had one, and I have one that's still sort of working on, how do I want to say this? Remembering how to interact with other kids her own age. And we're purposely looking at ways that we can do that. For example, if we do a kick set and there's 2 or 3 kids per lane, we might have them switch and do sort of have them ask a social question on a kick set. So like, okay, what color are the walls in your bedroom, or do you have any pets? And then they have to report back to the coaches. It's a fun way for us to get them talking to each other and meeting people, especially between the grades. So 6th graders, getting to know some 7th graders, 7th graders getting to know some 8th graders. And this fall, we've actually been doing it with our 8th graders, getting to know some of our high school students so that they can get a little bit of that sort of Trojan family feel and not just worry about the 3 or 4 kids that are in their own lane. But swimming is a lifelong sport, and really what I want to do is get people excited about doing this forever. I know Amy Sayers, she's been a swimmer forever. I'm putting her on the spot, and her 2 kids are both swimming, which is a lot of fun. I already talked about that you can do any of these options. This is the tricky one. I'm still working with the high school on what our practice time slots are going to be. I would really like to have a 3-hour block between 5 and 8 p.m. That I can divide up as best I can. We typically in prior years have split it up into 2 groups, where 6th graders and sort of beginning 7th graders were in the first group, and more experienced 7th graders and 8th graders were in the second group. But if we have 80 kids sign up for this team, I might have to split it up a little bit more finely into 3, because I am being very cognizant of trying not to have too many bodies in the pool at the same time. So I hope you'll be a little bit patient with me as I wait and see what the registration numbers are. But these are sort of some broad, it'll either be like 5 to 6:15 and then maybe 6:15 to 8, or it could be 5:30 to 6:30 and 6:30 to 8. but that's kind of how I split it up a little bit. And as I said, diving, we already know will be Monday, Wednesday, 5:30 to 6:30, because that's when Claire can come. We do have a Google Calendar that you can subscribe to on the Trojan Middle website. It helps a lot. I put a ton of things on there, like when is practice canceled, when are meets, and those kinds of things. We also have a schedule on the website, but I'll go through that in a minute. We do also practice over break. We won't practice on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. The week leading, so the last day of school is December 17th. We will practice, so that's the 18th, the 20th to the 23rd, and that same Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the following week. Don't exactly know when those practices are going to be held yet. It depends on when the school will let us in. Typically, the week leading up to Christmas is still in the evening because I have to work. I'm off from my other job between Christmas and New Year's, so we can practice earlier in the day, and those tend to be more like 10 to 12. Over break, not everybody attends every day, so we have been able to, in the past, just have a single practice rather than divide everybody into 2 practices. And that's the plan for now, unless I know that we're going to have 80 kids, and I can't have 80 kids in the pool at once. So there's a lot of ifs, and maybes right now. I wish I had a little bit more set in stone, but until I know what our numbers are, I just can't say that for sure. But does anybody have any questions? I know that was a little bit challenging. Nope. Okay.
Hey, Laura.
Yeah.
This is Maria.
Hi, Maria.
How are you?
Good.
I was just wondering when you think you'll be able to settle on practice times. When do you think you'll know that?
It'll either be a 5 o'clock or a 5:30 start. I'm negotiating with Maddie right now. Typically, the high school boys have practiced until 5:30, and then 2 days a week they were lifting weights, and so they would get out of the pool a half hour early. But they look like they're going to be doing morning practices, and so she doesn't necessarily need. So I'm hoping to go earlier rather than 5:30, but I should have that figured out by Friday, and then that'll be up on the website as soon as I know. And I can also send out an email when I know. But for Quinn, for example, 8th graders are always going to be 6 o'clock or later to start.
Thank you.
Yep. We emphasize learning all of the 4 competitive strokes and starts and turns. We tend to work on freestyle first because that's sort of the base stroke that everybody has to learn first. And then we'll gradually move into backstroke, and then breaststroke, and then butterfly as they get a little bit of aerobic base. So that's generally our season plan. It's a very, very short season. So those of you who are familiar or are kinesiologists and understand what microcycles and macrocycles are, we can't really do that because the season's only 9 weeks, 10 weeks long. So it's very, very, very short. We do a lot of speed training. If you watch the Olympics and you have heard some of the stories about how Michael Anthony is training the high intensity short bursts of speed. Well, we were doing that like 5 years ago because we have such a short season and the events in the middle school meet program are so short. It was a perfect match for getting them ready in just a short 10-week period. And that's worked for us so far. And I expect that we're going to be doing that again this year. The goal is for everybody to have legal strokes, all 4 legal strokes, and understand what the rules are for starts and turns, including in the IM, which is the individual medley. The only real difference between groups 1 and 2 is the specificity and the sort of the refinement in terms of that detail. In the first group, we tend to be a little more broad, and there's a lot of people that have quite intense stroke flaws that just doing a few basic things, getting them to understand how to be long in front. And then as they get older, we start to be able to do a lot more refinement, and we're going to also start adding in a little bit of mental training and a little bit of dry land training this year. goal setting, leadership training, and really getting the 8th graders ready to hit the ground running as a member of the freshman swim team at the high school. I'm never sure how many of these to click. We will be practicing or offering practices 5 days a week most of the time. There will be days where there are conflicting, where the high school is hosting a home swim meet, and obviously we can't practice when there's a home swim meet. But I've gotten smart over the years, and and this year on 2 of the 3 that are conflicts, there are currently three home meets scheduled for the high school boys. I've scheduled away meets for us on 2 of the 3, so that we don't really miss out on anything. We get to go away and have a swim meet on those days that we would have been kicked out of the pool and not been able to practice instead. So that's worked out really well. We have no minimum practice requirements. I know that's really different from a lot of sport programs. You do not have to come to practice every day. You don't have to come for 3 days. You can come whatever days of the week you want. You don't have to pick specific days. You don't always have to come on Tuesday, Thursday, or always on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's very, very, very flexible. That's intentional. I was a 3-sport athlete and I was always pulled in a lot of directions. So I try to be very, very flexible because the kids these days, they have a lot of things going on. They have music, they have, all sorts of clubs that they do, other sports going on at the same time. So I want to be as flexible as possible. But I do like to tell parents at the beginning, if your child is going to be attending 2 days a week for the most part, you can't expect them to have the same improvement curve as people who go 5 days a week. Swimming is a cash in, cash out kind of sport. The more you put in, the quicker you're going to see improvement. So as long as everybody's understands that, they're still going to see improvement 2 days a week. It just won't be to the same extent as a swimmer who comes 5 days a week. Questions about that? Okay. What do you need? Every swimmer is going to get a swim cap from us. So even at the beginning, the boys, I'm going to ask them because we have new coaches who don't necessarily know them. When they get a team cap, it'll have their name with a Sharpie on the forehead of their cap so that the swimmers can learn their names. Those of you who have never seen what a pool full of student athletes with caps and goggles on, it's very, very hard at the beginning to remember who is who because everybody looks alike. So having their name on their hat helps all the coaches learn their names more quickly and be able to talk to them by name from day one. They will also, we have team suits, but they are not required. And I'll get into that a little bit more in the future, but they all need high quality goggles. If you go with the cheapy goggles, your swimmer is going to be really frustrated, and it's going to frustrate the coaches because they're always helping them try to get their goggles to stop leaking or for the strap to come off. So I have some specific ones that I recommend. We do have a swimoutlet.com team store where we get a little bit, like 1% of anything that gets sold on swimoutlet.com comes back as a form of support for the club. And that's one of the reasons that we don't have to do any fundraising. We don't ask you to have to do any individual fundraising because we have Amazon Smile, we have Kroger Rewards, and then we have the swimoutlet.com store. We do not mark anything up in those. If you went on there on the swimoutlet.com website, it would be the same price that you'll see. It's just we wouldn't get a kickback from it if unless you did it through our team store. I will send out an email with the goggles that I recommend so that everybody gets that. I don't need to get into that today. We do like to have everybody on deck 10 minutes before practice starts so that we know that they're ready to go and they can get their fins. We use a lot of fins in our practices to get their legs strong very, very quickly. We always also ask everyone to use the restroom before practice. I'm not gonna go. into all of the details. I already talked about the calendar. All of these events that you see on this slide are already on the Google Calendar. And then all of the all the way through the December there's a schedule on the website. The MISCA championships are the only one that's a little bit different. That's sort of like the state meet for middle school. They have qualifying times, and I included the 2020 qualifying times, which are quite fast. And then the divers, they're also qualifying for divers. They have to have two meet average of that qualifying score in there. And we'll keep you posted if your student athlete is close to making a cut. We'll let you know. We tend to try to make our cuts in the week before, which is at the league meet. But this year we have some fast swimmers that might make it in the very first meet. Yeah, I'm gonna skip all that. So here are the events that we have. It's basically the high school events, but slightly shorter. We do not have a 500 freestyle, and we have a 100 IM instead of a 200 IM, and we have a 50 fly instead of a 100 fly, but otherwise all the events are the same. And for diving, 6 dives. Here's all the teams. Already kind of covered this. Skip that. Talked about the website already. This is my contact information, but the easiest way to contact me is if you go on the website, you can use the little contact fill-in thing on the website. That goes straight to me. If you ever need to get me and you don't remember what my email address is, that's quick. And here's the website, Trojan Middle. We use the website for everything. All of our RSVPing for swim meets is on there. Volunteering to help at meets, that's on there as well. All of our communications are via email. They go through there. And you'll automatically be on there when you do registration because our registration is on the website as well. The way that we are collecting fees is using, it's called WePay. It's a credit card collectors, just like PayPal or something like that. And it's just automatically part of the website. If you have to pay another way, just email me. But that's the only way the registration system will allow you to complete registration. So if you have a problem and you need to pay a different way, just let me know. We do have scholarships available for any athletes who are on free or reduced lunch or have financial circumstances that dictate a scholarship. We ask that everybody on scholarship pay something towards fees. There's no free, but we have on a form, a scholarship application form. So if anyone's interested, just email me after and I'll send you a copy of the form and I can walk through it with you. We do have, yay, a new online form collection system for our waiver. We used to have paper forms, and now the only thing that's paper is the MHSAA physical form because that comes from your doctor and I can't get your doctor to fill it out online. So that's the only one. When you register, your confirmation email will direct you what to do. You'll also get email reminders from me if you haven't done your online forms. The tricky part for those is that the waiver forms, because there's a COVID waiver as part of it now, any parent who has custodial rights in the participant has to sign. So like me, I'm a single parent, but my ex still has custodial rights. Both of us have to sign that form. Both married parents have to sign the form. If there's only one parent with custodial rights, they'll ask that question, and so that you'll make sure that you only have to have one person sign it. So it's pretty logical of how the system walks you through it. And it's sort of like if you've ever done a mortgage where you have to do all your online closing for a mortgage, it's very similar to that. We also have some extra medical forms on our website. So if you have a child who has severe asthma or a seizure disorder or diabetes or some other medical condition that could impact them while they're in the pool, we'd like to know about it because we can make sure that we provide them with medical care that's appropriate for those conditions. We do have emergency forms and emergency contacts that we keep both electronically and in paper form in the pool office. The other thing is because I am a parent of a non-neurotypical child, if you have a student who has either an IEP or a 504 that impacts their learning, and you would like to share that with us so that we can be a little bit more successful educating your child about swimming, we ask that you do that. I may follow up with you if you include, that they're on ADHD meds or something like that, just so that I can get a feel for what works. We won't be sharing that information with any other athletes or families, but I will at times share it with our coaching staff because it helps them better work with your child. If you have any questions about that, feel free to email me. Does anybody have any quickly that they want to throw out? Okay. This is the website, trojanmiddle.swimtopia.com. But if you just Google Trojan Middle, it's every time I've checked, it's the first thing that comes up. And then right on the homepage, there's this part, you just click on it and it'll take you straight there. And it's a pretty straightforward process. This is what it looks like when you get in there. I already covered that, so I'm going to skip it. We are hosting 2 meets this year, and we will need parent volunteers to help us make sure that meet runs smoothly. The first meet is going to be on December 7th, and that's sort of a we were inviting Mason and Lansing Legacy so that we could just get the kids in sort of to understand what the flow of a meet is. It's the first official meet is called the kickoff meet, which is 4 days later, but this is sort of the preamble to the kickoff meet. We have historically done this every year with Holt because they were our sister program in water polo, but they are no longer. And so we've decided to partner with Mason and Lansing to get our kids. It's sort of like an inter squad, but you have like a couple of extra teams in there. Those teams are quite small. Mason thought they might only have 12 to 15 kids. Lansing Legacy tends to have a dozen or less. So it'll basically just be us plus maybe 24 swimmers from those other 2 teams. And it just gets them to understand what the flow of the meet is. We won't have an official there. The coaches will take care of it at that first meet, but we will need parents to come and help time. And that'll be when you sign up to have your child attend that meet. There'll also be a job sign up that you can click on, a variety of jobs that happen for each meet. Then the big one, 4 days later, is on a Saturday. It's called a kickoff meet. And instead of having 2 sites this year, we're having 3. So we have fewer teams at each location. There will not be diving on the Saturday because the diving is on the Friday at Grand Ledge. It should be over. It tends to take about 3.5 hours to get through. It might be a little less if we have fewer teams, but we definitely need people to collect money when people come to be spectators, because that's a fundraiser for us. So we call that the gate. We need people to help with timing, and all those jobs will be described when you sign up. And if you have any questions, most of them you don't have to have had prior experience doing it. It works out pretty quickly. You'll learn by doing. But if you have any questions, there will always be at least 1 or 2 other parents who have done it multiple times, and you can have them as a mentor. I'm going to skip that. You don't need to hear about that. Talked about that already. Here's the big one. Here are fees for this year. Swimming only is 210 for a single child, each a child in the same household. That's after that, second and subsequent child in the same family, it's 190. For diving, it's 160. And for the combination, rather than paying 210 plus 160, which would be 370, we discounted it down to 335. Questions about that? Okay. This is the trickiest part. Physicals. Physicals have to have been completed. There's a MHSAA, which is the Michigan High School Athletics and Activities Association. They have a specific form that we have to have. Many of you have probably had kids that did either volleyball or cross country, or they've done football, or maybe they're even trying out for basketball. They've tried out for basketball already. That same form that you had to have for those is the one that we use. We just need to get a copy for swimming, because if we're asked to produce it, I have to be able to produce it. And that's the one paper form that you bring on the first day of practice, or you can scan it and email it to me, because eventually I scan them all anyway. The physicals have to have been completed since April 15th of this year. Has to be signed on by the physician on that specific form. The form is also available for download on our website. During the registration process, I also link to it so that you have a way of getting it directly. You cannot practice until that form is turned in. It's just an MHSAA rule, and it's an East Lansing school system rule as well. So if you don't have it done by the 17th, that's fine. You know, as soon as you get it done, just bring it in and then they can start practice. Generally every year in the spring, after April 15th, East Lansing High School sponsors physicals. They have doctors and nurse practitioners come in, and you can get your physical done right there at the school in like 20 minutes. It's really quick, and it costs like $25 or $20, I can't remember. But it's really nice because you get it. You can have all your kids doing it in one place. If you have a high school athlete and a middle school athlete, they can both go. They just didn't do that this spring. They only did it for the high school athletes. So next year, if you want to do it, or you can continue with your own physician or go to urgent care. There's a ton of places that will do them fairly cheaply, $25 or less is what I've seen. Maybe they've gone up a little, but they tend not to be too expensive. I already kind of went through that. This is the exciting part. We're going to give everybody a t-shirt, and we're going to give everybody a swim cap. Everything else after that is not mandatory, but it's fun. We have had the same team suit since 2014 until this year. So I'm going to unveil our new team suit. This is our new team suit design. It's very bright, but it's not as bright as the last one we had. And our team store will be open very soon. I'm working with our custom suit design company. They also have hoodies, jogger pants. We're going to have leggings, shorts, towels. So they're a lot of fun. And you will go, once the store is open, I'll send out an email, and everybody will just order online yourself, and the things will be shipped to your house, rather than having to get them all shipped to me and then I have to deal with distributing them all. For the suits, because this is a custom suit company, once you order a suit, it's yours, you cannot return it. So what we will do the first week of practice, so that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of the 17th, 18th, and 19th, we'll have what's called a sizing kit available, and the student athletes can try on sizes over their own bathing suits before they get wet, so that they can figure out what size do I need to order online. It's really important that you try them on, so that you know, just because you wear a size 32 in a Speedo doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a 32 in this. The company's called Ryte, R-Y-T-E Sport. And they'll have a chance to try those on, and we'll have volunteers, me, the coaches will be helping, and we will write down what size sort of seem to fit the best for everyone. So if your child forgets what size fit them, you can email me and I'll have a record of what we thought was the most appropriate size. Questions about that? And these are not mandatory. You do not have to buy a team suit. Female team suits are $60, male team suits are $42. And we realize that that's not cheap, and they are not required for that reason.
I have a quick question. Are those
Yep.
going to be delivered before the first meet? The suits?
Once you order them, they tend to take 10 to 14 days before you receive them. 10 to 14 business
Okay.
days, what they're telling me. Now, COVID again could rear its ugly
Yeah, I
head.
know.
You know, we have supply chain issues, but this company, we've chose them because their manufacturing is in the United States. Our former company, their manufacturing was in Spain. So we had a lot of problems getting the stuff on time. This company is out of California, and all of they hand dye, or they use machine dye. This is a sublimation process they use for all of this. They do it right there. They cut and they sew all in California. So that helps a lot. And also, because we're not waiting for like one big order, it'll be faster. So the quicker you submit your order, then you'll know it'll be there in about 2 weeks.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm excited for the design. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. If you can't see right in here, this is our little Trojan wave, which is the same as our logo. So even in the background of the suit, and there's some on the boys' suit over here as well. A lot of back and forth with the designer on this one. I already talked. We also have parkas. This is a different store. Parkas, backpacks, on the same place where you would order goggles on our on the swimoutlet.com. But these are all things that are fun for a gift, but they are totally not required to be part of the team. You might want to have, if you order a team suit and you want it to last a couple of years, you probably want to have a different suit that your child wears to practice, because practice is where all the wear and tear is going to happen. If you want any tips, there's on swimoutlet.com, they have all kinds of suits that are called uglies, where it's sort of a grab bag. You just say, hey, I want a suit in a size 28, and you get what you get, but it's like cheap, like 25 or 15 bucks for a guy's suit. So as long as your child doesn't care what color it is, or if it has a weird pattern on it, that might be the way to go. Questions about that? It's 7:05, so I'm going to get you out. I'm done. Questions? I'm going to stop sharing.
Hey, Laura, I had a quick one. There was a question in the chat. I'm not sure it was answered, but I have.
Oh, I haven't seen the chat. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so if the athlete played volleyball or cross country for McDonald in the fall, already the thing on file, the doctor, what's the word?
Physical?
Physical form?
Do we need to do it again?
You do not need to do it again. What I've done in the past is I submit a list to the middle school office, because they used to keep the physical forms there. I'm not sure they're doing it now, because the city of East Lansing for a while was keeping them for some sports, but not others. I'm not sure who's keeping them for football. So I will try to go through the middle school office to get copies of those, but I'm not exactly sure how, Miss O'Meara or one of the other administrative assistants at the middle school, what they have on file actually at the middle school and what is someplace else. So I'll try to find out, but if you turned one in because they were required for another sport, you just need to let me know that you've done that and what sport it was. So if I need to track it down, I can track it down. And if you have a copy of it, great. Just send me a scanned copy of it. That's fine.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, the problem is I don't know if I have it anymore. So I just wonder if we had to go through that, but thank you.
Okay.
The cross country ones are on file in the office, so.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kathy. So we know that's at least one sport. Hugh Potter, do you know who has the football ones? Are you still on?
I am. No, I do not, because I believe most of those forms were turned in to the East Lansing Football Club, but they may
Okay.
have been shared with the middle school. If you
Okay.
want, I'll be happy to check with the middle school tomorrow and follow up.
Would you mind checking with whoever was the head coach of that and let me know how to track him down?
Absolutely. I'll get you
That'd be great.
contact information tomorrow.
Thank you. Do we have any volleyball parents who are on?
Yes, we're volleyball and we did turn it in to the coach at the middle school.
Okay. Megan, would you mind checking with the coach and see if the coach knows if they're on file at the middle school and let me know?
Sure, I can email her tonight.
That'd be great. Thanks so much. So, and Kathy said that all of the cross-country ones are there, so we're good. Maria, assuming there's not a code or something for no. Maria asked in the chat if there is a code that you need on the swimoutlet.com website. No, but you need to use the link that's on the website to get to it, because it's like swimoutlet.com /Trojan Aquatics. I don't know exactly what it is, but the link is on our website. So if you use that as your in, that'll take you to the store and that will automatically happen. What about the registration form? Those of you who swam this fall and turned in the waiver form that is paper, I'm going to, you don't have to do another one because the paper one that you did was, it's good until the end of August 2022. But you're still going to get an email from me that says, will you please do this electronic form? And it would be easier for me if I have them all in one spot now that I've just migrated to this new system called Sports Forms. So if you wouldn't mind doing it again, I'd really appreciate it. But I know who's already turned them into me from the fall. So if you really, really don't want to do it, then that's fine. But it would help me out if you could. And then from now on, you will always do them electronically and you won't have to worry about paper forms anymore. Any other questions? Okay, it's 7:09. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Who was that?
This is Kalyan. I'm Kirit's dad,
hi.
Kirit Bami. Okay, so my question is, we filled quite a few forms in
Yes.
September, probably physical examination and medical clearance. So we have to do that again.
Like I was just saying, no, if you turn something in this fall, then you don't have to do it again. But if it was something that you turned in before September 1, then yes, you have to do it again because they're good for the academic year, September 1 through August 31.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure I have Kirit's. I'm pretty sure I have Kirit's. If I don't, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so sorry if you covered it. Maybe I was not paying attention. Sorry about it.
It's okay. I've been trying to streamline this for a long time. So
yeah,
it didn't get done as early as I wanted. I really wanted it to get done for the fall session, but life happened and I didn't get it done until now.
No problem. Thank you.
Any other questions? Did I catch
Laura,
everything in the chat?
Thank you
Susie's
so much
here as
for
well.
building this program.
Oh, you're welcome, Tracy.
I got a quick question.
Hi, Susie.
Hi. You might have answered this already. Maybe I didn't hear. When are most of the meets held? Are they during the week or on the weekends?
Most of the dual meets where it's like us versus one or two other schools are during the week. And I tried to put them at the same time as practice.
Okay, awesome.
And then but the big meets like the kickoff and the league meet, they're on Saturday.
Okay. And
So
that
far,
will
there's
be
only
for,
two
like-
of them.
Okay. For like middle school, like, is that including the middle schoolers? Is that just high school?
No, that's middle school. This is only middle school. This whole
Okay.
discussion is only
Okay,
middle school.
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Because I know
Yeah, we
Samir was-
have right now we have 3 dual meets scheduled, one that we're hosting, and 2 away, one at Hazlitt, one at Grand Ledge, and then we're hosting one of the kickoff meets, and then we have the league meet, which is going to be at Hazlitt. So we're going to be at Hazlitt twice, Grand Ledge at least once. Divers will be at Grand Ledge 3 times, and then Hazlitt. Yeah, that's it so
Okay.
far. I'm trying to find one more dual meet for the first week that we come back from winter break, that week of January 4th. There were about 4 schools that didn't make it to the coaches meeting. So I'm going to try to, I'm guessing that they don't have a ton of meets scheduled since we did all the scheduling at the coaches
Yeah.
meeting. So I'm going to reach out to those coaches as soon as I get their contact information from the league and see if they want to do a meet. And I'm not sure if that'll be home or away. I'm hoping away because.
And do you guys supply the swim caps, or do I need to get some other
Yes,
one?
I supply the swim caps.
Okay, awesome. I know she's a little nervous to find out that these are yeah, she's going to be doing some meets.
You know, meets are not required. And if someone's really nervous, that they don't have to do the first meet. But I do ask that if they don't swim, that they come, because once they come and watch, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm all in. Because
For sure.
the meets are the most fun part.
That is the most fun part. And I think the only thing that she's worried about is because she hasn't gotten up her speed yet.
Yep.
So she's not the quickest.
There's going to be, especially now post-COVID, there's going to be a ton of other schools that are just like us, where kids have not been in the water for a year and a half, and it's totally fine. And at the middle school level, you have a lot of swimmers who have never been on a team before. So she'll be one of many.
Yay. I'm excited. This is exciting.
Thank you. Anybody else? Did I miss anything in the chat?
Yeah, on one of the chats for the orchestra.
Okay.
What time, do you know what time that meet's gonna be?
Okay, let me see. Where does it say about orchestra?
6th grade orchestra has a concert on December 7th.
6th grade orchestra. Do we know what time?
7 p.m. I'm pretty sure.
Let me see if I can convince our high school to get out of practice a little early, so that we could maybe have warm up at 5, meet start at 5:30. And that way people who need to get out and go to orchestra can just swim in like maybe the first 1 or 2 events and then go home and get ready, or we can figure out how they can get, changed and ready at the school. Let me work a little bit with Mr. Rosin and Nikki Norris, the athletic director, just to make sure. Because is it going to be at the high school or is it going to be at the middle school?
I'm assuming the high school, that's where the last one was, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And if that's the case, then sometimes that's just the way it is, because I didn't have that. I didn't know that there was one. Otherwise, I would have tried to not do it on that day because I have a kid in band. So, all right, that is 12/7. Let me see what I can find out, and I will get back before that. But the good news is that's sort of like a pre-season meet. The real big important one, the big first kickoff meet, is 4 days later on Saturday. So I think we can figure out a way to make it work. That's the benefit of having the high school coach having also been one of my coaches, so that we work all the way through so that it can be as seamless as possible. Anything else? Sorry to keep you 15 minutes extra. If you have any problems during registration, or you have any questions, just send me an email. You can also hit me up on Facebook, because I'm the one that monitors the Trojan Aquatics, the Raptor, and I also even the East Lansing Aquatics Facebook pages. I look at them a couple of times a day generally, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. So if you need to get in touch with me, feel free. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.